It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. You know, here we are at that intersection between the digital and physical world at the end of the day with Ray. And look who I got on the screen, Diane Waltemath. Diane, how are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. It's a beautiful day here in Arizona.
Well, you know what? I'm kind of jealous because it's a little bit chilly here in St. Louis. But Diana, you know, you've been in the industry for a long time. Not too long, not as long as me and Ed. But, you know, tell the audience a little bit about, you know, who you are and what your background is.
Right. So I have an elite background in as an executive in technology services, and started my own company about 2 years ago, Performance Now. And so we specialize really in people, IDing talent, business programs, workflow productivity, and the ERP as well.
So you know, I heard this, that you're probably one of the smartest people with eAutomate in the industry. Is that true?
That's very flattering.
Yeah. It's true, folks. Trust me, I heard it from reputable people. So anyway, Diane, let me ask you a question. You know, as we look at the industry, and you know, there's a huge private equity groups, there's smaller dealers, medium-sized dealers, but when you look at those dealers that are that $10, $20 million, and everybody's trying to figure out what's next, you know, what's the vision of the future look like? Hopefully they're not using their memories to create these visions. But what would you do in an organization if let's just take a $20 million company and all of a sudden you're in charge of the entire admin team? What would you do different than you did in the past based on where the future of the industry is going around human capital? Who would you bring in there?
Well, I mean, I think we talked once before about strategic plan. It has to start at the executive level.
Sure.
Really the executive mind rowing in the right direction on what the future looks like and what outpacing competition looks like. And so we all know that includes e-commerce. We all know that includes the A4 revolution that we're all chattering about. And so when I think about those things and I think about the different automations and the changes to workflow, headcount and team structure definitely changes.
Sure.
And so you have to, the first thing I would do after understanding strategic plan would be to, you know, presumably if I'm new or if I'm coming in as a consultant, I don't know your group. And so I spend time with folks to understand what their talents are, what they believe the controls are within the business. And then we start to understand who's got the talent to play roles in new teams. And we understand what our benchmarking for performance is today and then, and we start moving on how to get there.
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, there's a lot of organizations that are looking at this customer service or customer relationship, customer experience type person. And I see, you know, in the imaging channel, I see a lot of that personnel reporting through the sales engine. Shouldn't they be reporting through admin, or am I just making that up in my mind?
No, they absolutely should be. And I, at a point in my career, I proposed a business case for that. They should be rooted in admin because when they're number one, when they're reporting to sales, they often have a GP quota. They have a renewal quota for which they're bonused against. And some of those, that kind of commission plan doesn't necessarily motivate the right activities or communications between the sales and the CRMs or CAMs or single point contacts, whatever you want to call them. It creates a bunch of frustration, and that slows down operations, that slows down customer service.
Well, it seems like everybody in the business at that point is trying to sell the customer. You know, it'd be like having your techs. Yeah. You don't have your techs going out there trying to sell the customer. And I believe the customer service or relationship experience person is really part of that service engine. I mean, if I had to make a choice between sales, and I couldn't use admin for some reason, I'd put them under the service department. But
well, let me tell you this about when the position reports to admin has access to all of the information in the ERP.
Sure.
Admin understands exactly what's going on, been going on, what needs to be fixed. And they can have those intelligent conversations with the customer. There doesn't have to be this middleman, and we don't have to throw money at this other position because, frankly, that position doesn't earn the renewal in the first place. So why we would bonus it, I don't know. Renewals are earned by providing the services that you said you would, by maintaining your pricing like you said you would, by focusing on the customer's needs.
And not screwing up the invoicing and all the stuff that admin's responsible for. You're exactly right. Dispatch system, all that. You know, it seems kind of strange to me as we look at our industry today. There's a lot of talk about technologies. Hell, I was the guy that was out back throwing away an outdated ERP system. I'm very critical of some of the technologies in the industry. But the more I look at it, you know, we have some real needs. We're about 5 years behind in e-commerce. And, you know, how do you see e-commerce inside the admin department of a dealer in that $20-30 million range, maybe even $10 million range, what could they do to help that dealership get into e-commerce? And do you believe in your mind, there's two questions, do you believe in your mind that we really need to get into e-commerce? And even if we had a substitute, maybe upgrading some technologies, does that make sense to you?
So one, we absolutely need to get into e-commerce. I mean, if only for the fact that even just last night, I saw an Amazon Prime truck driving down the road at like 9 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Right. So, and like 6 months ago or whatever, I logged into my Amazon account, and in my immediate feed were some of these HP printers and whatnot.
Yep.
So right away, I started thinking Amazon's going to start distributing equipment and supplies, and then it's only going to be a services only business, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just break and fix now because Amazon crushed everyone. So absolutely e-commerce. And then on top of e-commerce though, and I've seen, I think maybe it was Norm McConkie that said this or mentioned it once before, but if you've ever logged into anyone's shopping cart on their website and then you have to fill out 30
forms to do that.
Right?
Yeah. Bad experience.
It's not e-commerce.
Yeah.
And we have all the data between volumes, periods, cartridges shipped, yields. We have these things for codes. I'm going to get out of my IT talk level, but codes, logarithms, whatever they are, for those to capture these things, auto approve. There are systems that PO processor. There are things out there that we could be doing differently.
Sure. But you agree with me, and obviously Norm, that we really should be in e-commerce. Here's a question for you, and I've written a couple articles about this. I think I did a few videos on it. But, I see the imaging channel. We just treat every single customer exactly the same, whether they give us a $600 printer on their desktop to a production machine, and same dispatch, same system, same admin, everything's the same. Do you see a way that we could separate that inside admin that would make more sense? I mean, shouldn't we be, taking these low-hanging fruit customers and figure out a different way to deliver them products and services? Maybe the e-commerce approach. What are your thoughts? Give me your thoughts.
Absolutely. One would be e-commerce approach, and if the dealership isn't ready for that, build somebody. Scale your projects. Understand what's a scale A, B, C, D, E project, and based on that project gets touched 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and it goes to this person, that person, or the other for it. There can be a variety of ways. If I think about e-commerce and getting equipment to customers, I just think about, admin working with purchasing and vendor relationships to understand, and with supplies to talk about cartridges and CPP pricing and what makes sense to put up now and run specials on.
Absolutely.
And, make sure that you have because that's always an issue, right? When the client goes out and for whatever reason buys some device from someone else besides you, their equipment dealer and service provider. And it's like, whoa, I wish I could have got in front of them and educated them that this cheap little printer is going to cost them 3 cents a page now or whatever.
Well, you bring up a good point, Diane, and one of the things that you see in the e-commerce platforms a lot of times is you'll go to the dealer site. Let's say they are going to sell a printer, but they'll make you fill out the big questionnaire, like you said, and the whole purpose is to get the sales rep to go try to sell them something different. And I think that's just pure nonsense, because we should allow the customer to buy anything they want to buy from us, because we can go back and fix it. And instead of, just let them buy the damn thing and then go back in and talk to the customer, build a relationship up. But we got to give them a buy now, and because if we don't, they go to Amazon.
I was just going to say that if I went on to one of these websites and wanted to buy some little HP or something, and instead of being able to purchase it and choose ship now, 2-day, 3-day, whatever, I was told at the end of my long form that a sales rep would contact me. I'd be like, cancel, 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 and I'd be logging on to Best Buy or wherever else.
Well, I didn't want to take us down this e-commerce path, but I got to tell you, it's important because e-commerce really fits into that admin structure. Admin has the data, admin has the information. Quite frankly, admin has probably better relationships than a lot of the salespeople that go in and sell something, show up, 2 years into a 5-year lease to try to roll the thing into a new one, and then the dealer loses money. So I think there's a lot of opportunities in that admin sector, especially around human capital. And part of your platform is to come in and help dealers with that. So I think that's awesome. Like, you could come in there, you got some deep experience. You were in the big groups. You were part of a private equity, I think, at one point in time. So I think that's a important strategy that dealers really need to pay attention to. But more importantly, you know, we got to stop selling every customer exactly the same and figure out how to deliver those deliverables different. And,
Right.
you know,
I mean, I made a comment in one of your posts the other day, like you can absolutely, there are customers that will pay a premium. They will pay you more just to not bother them for meters,
oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're right.
And so you don't treat every account the same. And when you get, you know, an account that is providing you, buying like a $250 cash device from you, they're not going to get bumped to the front of the line, even though, you know, the acquired president used to be able to bump things in the
Sure.
line. That's not going to happen now because it doesn't even rank with the $300,000 deal I got right.
That's why you got to just let them buy it online. You can even tell, admin could tell those customers, here's a link to our thing. Go there, hit buy now. It's yours. We'll have it show up and it's done. Problem is, as soon as admin tries to do that, the salespeople are going to say, oh my God, she's in my account. She's going to screw up the relationship. Folks, I got to tell you something. Pay attention to admin.
Let them coordinate their tech install for that e-commerce device too. Let them do that online. Wow, now you're really cooking.
Yep.
You know. Do you want to talk about A3, A4? I got a lot to say.
Yeah, I would tell you right now, obviously I started that A4 revolution with my friends at Lexmark. You know, we know that, you know, there's a huge population of equipment out there. 80-something% should be, you know, A4s, all these A3s that have been oversold and overspec'd. Salespeople have a motive to do that. Admin would probably have a motive to do what's right for the customer, and they could base it on real data. So tell me what your thoughts are on that. I'd be really interested in that.
Yeah, so I would say that this would be really easy to do, right? A lot of these dealerships that I'll talk to about that aren't doing NPS, I say it's really easy. And it's kind of hard to conceive for some reason. I would say this A4 revolution is really easy too. And customer centric. When we're all selling the same boxes and services, it really becomes about who's the best at taking care of the customer and their needs.
Sure.
And helping them beat their competition. So what admin can do, I mean, admin has access to all of the maturity reports. They have access to all of the interterritorial agreements and the details thereof, right? They have access to the contract GP from the ERP or whatever outside GP report you use. They understand how to maximize MSRP. They have the diligence and the procedures and routine and frequency to do these things on routine and frequency, so we don't miss opportunities. In my group, in former lives and at other advisements, I like to empower admin people with certain controls so that we don't bottleneck on things, right?
Sure.
If we know where GP parameters need to be, and we can, we have the ability in the ERP to look up service calls, look up supplies shipped versus prints paid for, understand where there's too much yield, understand how CPP needs to be corrected if we can't correct the yield issue. And so admin can make all those kind of adjustments at the same time as they're building and proffering these A4 opportunities, which are the customer-centric thing to do. And as aside from, and admin knows Excel. I mean, a small thing, they know Excel, they can do this more, they can just do it quicker, you know? And this becomes something that can be a metric of performance for an admin. How many opportunities did we ID? How many did we proffer? As an executive, I would also, for the business's purposes, be wanting to see the dollars that tied out. So there's a lot going on there, and admin can do all of that.
Well, you know, what admin would do is admin would take a customer-centric deliverable that everybody's afraid that we're not going to make any money on it, and admin would make sure we definitely made money on it because they could look at the facts of the money you're not making on the oversold A3. And so, you know, so
there's wasted labor and time there too,
absolutely.
Right? Admin spends time arguing with the dealers when they're unhappy with their own margin and they don't want to take on the next device you want to place in their territory at the same time because they're not going to realize the volume, and so they're going to have more service expense. So it's time to move away.
Well, here's what you just taught me. Here's what I think. I'm going to do a video on this, just a separate video. You taught me that we really, if we're going to start an A4 revolution inside the dealership, we need to start it in admin. We need to let admin lead the A4 revolution, not the sales engine who keeps fighting it. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to move forward with that and really start studying that and think about it. I'll probably reach out to you some more on that subject. But I got to tell you, Diane, you know, it seems to me that if you look inside admin, if you look inside the executives in admin, there's we're not really capturing the potential that we really have with that group. I really believe that. We're betting on the old style sales strategies. We're betting on older executives that have been out in the field forever, and we're not paying attention to what data can really do to drive our business behaviors. And I think that's, that's really your goal in life, is to help people drive business behaviors.
Yeah, admin gets bowled over often in the dealership. You don't even oftenly see an administrative executive at the same rank as the executives in, say, service, sales, wherever else in the business. There's usually not a title of that matching rank. And so, but if that is the group that has their hands all over the money and the opportunities, you know how many deals could roll through where an admin's like, if we brought that customer current on their current deal, their buyout would go down by like $6,000, but whatever, so I'll just roll this deal.
Well, it's pure silliness. I agree. And if you look at these big companies, let's pick, go to Amazon as an example. It's because they deliver remarkable infrastructure through an admin process, through a customer directly communicating with the computer or data. There's no salespeople involved in that. And we have to accept the fact that our businesses, we could do a lot of that ourselves if we just put our minds to it. But that mind needs to come out of admin, so I really appreciate the time you gave me today, Diane. I mean, it's been an awesome conversation. Let's get you back on the screen again. I think you got one more thing to say. What's that?
I do, and it's going to be brief.
Okay.
But like that A4 program can roll right out of admin, you can run existing contract GP programs right out of admin too. There's a procedure for identifying the issue. You capture the ones that are below a threshold. Admin runs the process. You proffer it to sales. They sell it. You set a commission plan to incentivize it. You fix the contract GP. You pay the rep. Maybe you sell some new equipment.
Holy smokes. So you mean you don't just go sell something for a whole bunch of money, ring the bell, and then lose all the money that you thought you got over the contract?
No. You have to have a healthy business.
There you go. Well, they say that things are changing rapidly. Well, Diane, I want to thank you for being on the end of the day with Ray, and you might help me with my closing, because everybody knows this, Diane. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo. Have a great day, my friend.